So if there is something in your life that you want to change, the most important thing is to get crystal clear about what it is that you want to become. What is it that you want to change? And so a really good approach is to write it down. Write down the issue or the situation or the event, and then write down, so what am I thinking about this? And then here is your opportunity to change. All right, what is the alternative thinking that empowers me? Because when you start thinking victim mode, then the feelings and the emotions and then the chemicals that are released in your body are going to show. And that's when your immunity system goes down, when you start getting sick, all of those things. And they start with thoughts. Like, who would have thought?
Welcome to the People Leaders Podcast, the audio resource for managers and business leaders creating high-performing teams. Join leadership and team development experts Jen and Michelle Turkelson each week as they explore both subjects from every angle. Through practical tips, valuable insights, and compelling interviews with leadership experts around the world, you'll learn how to bring out the best in your staff and how to give your best as a leader.
Here we are again, Michelle.
Here we are again, Jen.
Downtown Melbourne. So we're overlooking, what's the river?
Yarra.
Yarra. Yeah, lovely. Well, it's raining, but it's still lovely to have that overview, that broad overview, which is really interesting because I find when people are feeling a little bit stuck or narrow focused, the best way of actually lifting themselves out of that is to have a broad view. And if you're working in an office or whatever, we just recommend every now and then just look outside the window, because it actually allows the brain to become a little bit more expansive when it sees space. And that's the challenge for people, is that they don't have enough space in between their meetings or in their mind or between their thoughts to actually allow something better to come to them.
And that's why there's such a feeling of overwhelm. And the benefits of being aware that you are in overwhelm are a good start, because you can use your transitioning from, the office to the desk to the next meeting as an opportunity to recalibrate and rebalance yourself. And that could be either through deep breathing or, mentally shift your state as you shift your body to that new, to that new space in the work environment.
Yeah, and a lot of people, or the people that listen to this podcast, know that it's having a really conscious intention to actually live that and to be that. And that's why we always recommend is to start the day with a clear intention, with a really heartfelt emotion around that. So what are we going to talk about today? We've already talked about heaps. We're going to talk about change.
Yeah, we're going to talk about change.
And we're going to talk about, we've kind of called it the anatomy of change. So as coaches, people come to us because they want to change something about their life. And most people want to change, this one thing, but everything else to remain the same. However, if you are going to change your life or, some aspect of your life, you have to become different. You have to think greater than your thoughts and feel more than what you're feeling now. And so we're going to step you through a incredible framework that we've been using for years that really you can plug in to any situation, event or circumstance in your life.
Yeah, and it could be seen as a problem-solving model, a change model, how to get a different perspective model, how to change your life model. It is really powerful. And in a very traditional sense, I suppose, the grounding or the basis is the stimulus response theory or process. However, what we're doing is we are making it more practical. We call it practicalizing things.
Okay, so the first step in this model or framework is that there is always going to be a situation, a circumstance, or an event that happens in your life.
And we can't control that.
Something that we have no control over. Yeah. And the situation or event could be that you have come into work early for the last week or two and you're just not getting any acknowledgement. You're not getting any feedback from your people leader or the people that you're actually helping. Yeah. And so that's a situation or a circumstance that you find yourself in.
Yeah.
The next part of that is, what thought are you having about that? And it's usually just kind of like a one-line statement. So what thought are you thinking about that? Which means that you're making a meaning about that. So the meaning that I might be making, or the thought that I'm having about that, is I've been coming into work for the whole week early so I can support my team and my people leader, and I haven't been getting any acknowledgement for this. And then so the next part of that
is, so what is the feeling or emotion that is linked to that to that thought that you've just had? Is that disappointment? Is it feeling unappreciated, feeling unempowered? Because they are very closely linked, the thought and the feeling. And then the next stage
is my response to that, so my action around that. And this is the combination of the thought and feeling. So my thought is that I've been coming in, it just doesn't, people aren't appreciating me. The feeling that I have is I'm feeling a little bit deflated, down, unacknowledged. And my response to that is, well, if I don't feel appreciated, perhaps I may not put the effort in. Like, what's the point of putting this effort in and going the extra mile if I'm not getting a reward or an acknowledgement? Like, I don't want a big birthday cake or, a big present. I just want someone to go, hey, thanks for coming in. I've just noticed, the last couple of days, wow, thank you for that. And so that's your response or your action. So this is your choice around that.
And what's interesting about that is that whilst that has been playing out in your mind, everybody else has millions of those things playing out in their own minds. So your issue, your situation is sort of down on their scale of, important, conversations to have potentially.
Because the number one priority in everyone's life is themselves.
Is their life.
Is their life. So we've gone through, there's a situational circumstance, you've got a thought about that, you've got an associated feeling about that, and so you have an action or a response to that. And the last puzzle is that this determines your results. So as a result of not feeling appreciated and not being acknowledged and feeling a bit deflated, then what would I put the effort in? So maybe I'm not going to do that extra bit of review on the report, or perhaps help out my neighbour because, I've been doing it all week. Do I really need to continue doing this? And so the result would be a diminishment of your level of performance or activity, and then see where that gets you.
The irony.
That's right. So the framework, you can plug in any situation. So a circumstance could be that you missed a flight, right? As Michelle and I did the other day. Thank you, Qantas. Anyway, so we missed a flight. We had a really important engagement to get to, which we actually didn't end up doing, but we're doing it today, which is fine. And the thought was, that's interesting. For me, it was like, that's interesting. So what do I want to think about this, and how do I feel? I feel disappointed. However, there is always something going to benefit me. And this is why I think a mantra is really important. So everything is always working out for me. That's the thing that I go to all the time. And so our response was that is, okay, let's get on the laptops and see if we can find another flight. And we got Bertie on, my husband, he was on one laptop, Michelle was on the other, and I was on the other. And eventually we found a flight. And the result was that we're going to present today because they were able to fit us in. However, all the way through that, Michelle and I were taking responsibility. It's like, okay, we need to clean up our energy around this, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And if this is something that is coming up, what I like about this anatomy of change is that you have the control, like you've got this 4-step process now. So, it could be 5-step actually. And so if there is something in your life that you want to change, the most important thing is to get crystal clear about what it is that you want to become. What is it that you want to change? And so a really good good approach is to write it down. Write down the issue or the situation or the event, and then write down, so what am I thinking about this? And then here is your opportunity to change. All right, what is the alternative thinking that empowers me? Because when you start thinking victim mode, then the feelings and the emotions and then the chemicals that are released in your body are going to show. And that's when your immunity system goes down, when you start getting sick, all of those things. And they start with thoughts. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
They start with a thought.
And that's a really good process, is what is your thinking about it and what's an alternative? What's your feeling about it and what's a slight alternative? But you may not go from depression to joy, but you may go through from disappointment to slight frustration. So what is the next best feeling that you can have in relation to this situation or circumstance? How do you actually want to respond to that? Not, react. What is the response that you want, that you choose to have about this situation that will actually give you that better feeling and that better thought? And then ultimately the circumstance will change. It has to change. It's kind of the laws of physics.
So you're going from a victim mentality to one of empowerment where you get to control. Because you can't control the event, however, you can control all of those things in between that lead to your actions, which can be empowering actions.
And that's mastery.
That's right. And when you've taken an empowering action, because it feels different.
The body doesn't lie.
No, you have a different energy about it, and you feel more positive about the outcome, that there is going to be a better outcome as a result of that.
Yeah, so think now about a circumstance or a situation or event that's happening in your life that you would like to shift, that you would like to change in some way. So think of that circumstance. And now, what is that thought that you have attached to that circumstance? And then what is the feeling that's associated with that thought that you have about the situation or event? And then what is the action or response that your greater self could take in relation to that?
If you were being the best that you could be.
The best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And then think about, so what results would I be getting? Or what results do I want? And the tip is, don't be attached to the results. Be attached to what you can absolutely control. So you can control your thinking about it, your feeling about it, and your response to it. And then the results will change. They have to. It's like the laws of physics. And the invitation today is to go through that step process with any event or situation that you have in your life and do a turnaround.
What a great challenge, what a great experiment for you to have. You could do it in, just pick 3 aspects of your life. It could be, what's happening at home, what's happening with my team, and it could be what's happening with my health. And write those down. What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? And what could be a new way of responding to those? And then try that for 20 days.
And what results do you want to get? What is that highest vision that you have around that circumstance? That's right. All right, so that's all from us.
Yes.
We wish you all the best with this, and we use this in our coaching in our life all the time, and it is the foundation of how we operate. And we've got to practice. It's a practice.
Oh,
isn't it?
Practice. And again, if you have any feedback, if you're interested in Jan and I recording a podcast on a particular issue, let us know, because we're happy to do that for you. Okay, have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
You've been listening to the People Leaders Podcast with Michelle and Jan Turkelson. For show notes and other free resources, please visit us at peopleleaderspodcast.com. Do you know someone else who could benefit from cutting-edge leadership and management techniques? Please take a moment to share this and other episodes via your podcast app, email, or social media channels. Each share helps us fulfill our goals of reducing workplace stress and increasing job satisfaction for leaders, managers, and their teams worldwide. The People Leaders Podcast is brought to you by the Experts On Air Podcast Network.